Hello, it's Chloe, host of the show, and I'm butting in before every single episode for just a few days to tell you to get your free ticket to our brand new virtual summit right now. There are a ton of challenges you are dealing with this year. Cookies have died and more are dying. Competition is way up. Inflation is screwing up all your customers' disposable income. And this is probably the year you need to switch your focus from clever algorithms to awesome content and personalization if you want your business to succeed. Awesome. It's not like you weren't already exhausted from all the crazy stuff of the last 2 years. Well, to help you manage all this change, I've pulled together a bite-sized, no overwhelm virtual summit. A training event, if you like. It's made up of just 10 30-minute long expert sessions where you'll learn the key customer acquisition and customer retention strategies you should be deploying in 2022. Plus 2 live Q&A sessions where you can get your questions answered. It's all spread over 2 days, the 26th and 27th of April, and it really is a case of less is more. We're not trying to overwhelm you with loads of content. We've drilled it right down to the key things you need to know, delivered in a succinct and clear way. To get your free ticket, just go to summit.ecommercemasterplan.com. summit.ecommercemasterplan.com. And to answer our 2 most asked questions, number 1, replays. Yes, replays will be available to everyone who has signed up. So sign up and then you can watch at your convenience. Question number 2, me. Am I doing a presentation? Yes, I am doing the last session on customer acquisition day. I will be giving you my latest and greatest thoughts on how to succeed in e-commerce this year. To get all of that, just go to summit.ecommercemasterplan.com and get your free ticket. That's summit.ecommercemasterplan.com. So hit pause, go and sign up, and then come back and hit play to hear the episode you actually wanted to listen to. Just what should you put in your emails for maximum impact and sales, of course, in 2022? Answer coming up shortly.
You're listening to the Keep Optimizing podcast to increase your traffic, improve your conversion rates, and grow your profits.
Hello and welcome. I'm Chloe Thomas, the host of this marketing-focused show. And if you're not familiar with our format, well, each month we focus on a different marketing method. Could be email, like this month, or SEO, or Facebook ads. And each week I interview a different marketing method expert to explore the latest advice on making it work for you. This month is all about email, and we've already given you 2 episodes on how to grow your list and dived into the importance of personalization. Well, in this episode, we're tackling what you should put into your email marketing. With increased competition levels, it's harder than ever before to get your emails open, to get your emails seen, therefore get the attention of your customers and get them to buy. So what should you be sending them to drive sales? That is what my guest is joining us to discuss. So expect all of that, plus some great strategic tips and even some kind of personal development towards the end too. Plus a couple of rants, but we don't take those too far. Hopefully that's got you interested to listen in and hear what we're on about. We're going to meet today's guest in a moment, but before we do, please do check out our sponsors. This podcast is brought to you by Clavio, the email and SMS platform built just for e-commerce brands. If you're marketing an e-commerce brand, you already know that data changes everything. More data means more power. And if your email or SMS tools can't handle all that data, they're probably holding you back. That's where Clavio comes in. Its top-notch personalization and segmentation help you send the right message at the right time, guided by unlimited real-time data from your online store and tech stack. Request a demo at clavio.com/masterplan. That's KLAVIYO.com/masterplan. Today, I'm chatting with email marketing expert Komal Helyer. Komal really knows her email marketing. She is the VP of Marketing at email marketing platform Pure360 and chair of the DMA Email Marketing Council. She's been in marketing for even longer than I have, always focused on helping clients find the best strategy to drive the best possible results. And she's just been named one of 20 email marketing experts you need to follow by MailCon. Hello, Komal.
Hello, Chloe. Thanks for having me.
Great to have you here, and congrats on being named in that list. That's super cool.
Thank you. And what an honor. What an amazing list of people as well.
It is. I will be, I haven't quite had time to do it yet, but I will be going through it, making sure I'm following all of them and putting them on my wish list for future podcast episodes.
Definitely do it. There's some awesome people on there, and across the globe as well.
Yeah, it is a top-notch list. Yeah. We will put a link to that in the show notes for everyone listening.
Yeah.
Save you all disappearing off to try and find that. So, Komal, how did you get into email marketing? How did you end up in this amazing space?
Oh, gosh. Well, you will hear from anyone in email, we never set out to be in email. Yeah, that's a general consensus from everybody in email. So I started out doing a law degree. I did a law degree at university. Hated my last year of my law degree, did it, but decided no way am I going to spend another 2 or 3 years studying this, and came out into the world of marketing, got myself a marketing exec role, and also supporting a sales team. But I was very lucky in that this was at the time of the dot-com boom. So I was, my second job was to sell modems. Remember those things that where you had to dial up to join the internet? So I was selling those, and then sort of slowly transitioned into a marketing role and a sales support role, and then into email. And really I was on the media side of email, then moved over to ECRM. So it was a transition where I actually just happened. But I'm loving it. It happened. I say it happened. And, 18 years later, I'm in it. So that's how much I love it.
As a thing, it grabs you, doesn't it? And then you end up stuck in it forever.
I think what's the beauty of email is that there are so many layers to it. So it's not just about sending an email out to your database. There are so many different layers of how to do it well. And my missions is to help marketers do great email marketing, because we're still not seeing it. We're still not seeing the basics from many brands, even the big global brands. So we still have, it's still a very infant channel, and it takes a lot of care to get it right. And I think marketers still need a lot of help doing that.
Now, as much as I could quite happily go into ranting about how we're still trying to do the things we were trying to do 20 years in email, which I would thoroughly enjoy.
Yeah, that's another podcast, I think.
Yeah, I think we should focus on helping the audience be better email marketers. So you've recently published Pure360's Email Marketing Content Trends for 2022.
Yeah.
I am of the opinion that improving our content is essential for getting cut through and growing our business this year. So how important is the content we're putting out there in email going to be this year?
Let's set the scene a little bit. Actually, I'm running a pre-webinar with Seth Godin in a few days' time. And, Seth talks about his purple cow, how to be remarkable. And really what we are trying to achieve is how do we achieve remarkable marketing, but throughout the customer lifecycle. And content is absolutely crucial to that, and how you personalize content, what you're doing with that content, how you're using that content, how you're repurposing that content. And it's absolutely key to delivering a remarkable communications plan to your audience and engaging with your audience. So it's key. There are layers to that as well.
Excellent. And that's amazing. Congrats on getting Seth Godin organised. Can we put a link to that in the show notes for people who want to go and catch up with it?
Absolutely. Very happy to do that.
Excellent. I had to do that because more than half the audience is going, Seth Godin, how do I get that? How do I get that? So we'll close that loop for everyone so we can focus on the practical sides of this. So you said it's about remarkable marketing and building it into the customer life cycle. We really have got to raise our content game, haven't we?
Yeah. And content, there's, you have a marketing content strategy, but then throughout your different channels, you need to have the layers of your content strategy for each of those different channels. And yes, definitely repurposing them across the channels, but you also need to define what that content strategy is for your email marketing channel. And they could be from anything from using personalization to create more relevant communications, all the way through to user-generated content that you're using your audience to tell your story.
Well, I should just say to everyone who's listening, the report we're talking about, or that we're kind of referencing, we are going to give you the link to go and grab your copy of that too. Yeah. There are 5 key areas within it: user-generated content, content atomization, interactive content, hyper-personalization, and AI optimization, not necessarily in that order. We're going to cover off the kind of what I think and what I've agreed with Komal are the key areas within this, but we're probably not going to manage to tackle it all in this episode. So I highly recommend going and grabbing a copy of it. But Komal, you've mentioned a couple of times the importance of hyper-personalization. So shall we start there? What tips have you got around hyper-personalization?
Sure. We talk about personalization. It's not just about first name. In fact, first name doesn't really make a huge, massive impact on the results of your email campaigns. We're talking about personalization from automations that are targeted to how you're behaving on the website, how you're behaving throughout your where you are in the customer lifecycle, and so on, not just using demographic data. And personalized emails, they deliver a much higher transactional rate. The conversion rates are much higher. They achieve higher open rates. And actually, the bottom line is that consumers will stop purchasing from brands that are not personalizing. And this is absolutely key. We've got a stat in the report: 63% of consumers will stop buying from brands that use poor personalization tactics. So it's a real business problem. It's a real business issue. If we're not personalizing, if we're not using our behavioral data or where customers sit in their life cycle with you to personalize, then but we're missing a trick. And now, what I would say is that the technology that you're using, that e-commerce marketers are using, can deliver all of this. It's not that you need a very expensive piece of tech to be able to do it. The tech is there. It's how do you actually achieve your business goals by delivering on whether it's behavioral targeting, post-purchase, all the way through to product recommendations. Then, the tools are there for you to be able to do it. It's just about mapping out that journey and mapping out what you want to say to people as and when they come through their buying journey with you.
This is one of those areas where it's so easy to do it. And what I think stops us from doing it is working out where to start.
Yeah.
Or doing what the audience know I end up doing, because I keep admitting to this, rightly or wrongly, which is to create the most complex personalization scheme of work you've ever seen in your life, and then none of it gets built. So where would you recommend, somebody who wants to put more personalization into their communications? Where do we start? Do we start with an abandoned cart? Do we start post-purchase? Do we start putting product recommendations in abandoned browse campaigns? Which bit is going to give us the biggest bang for our effort and start getting us the data back to help us build?
So for any marketer, I would say you've got to start at your objectives. It's so important to lay out what your marketing objectives are that are fully aligned to your business objectives. Make sure you've got that so you know what you need to achieve. That's the first place to start. Then if we were going to just look at the campaigns, my two, no-brainers are abandoned basket. If you're not doing an abandoned basket, please go and implement just a simple abandoned basket. You will be so surprised at how much money you're leaving on the table by not having it. The other place to start really is in the welcome. Lots of brands are doing welcome campaigns, and that welcome campaign to them, or the welcome email to them, is thank you for signing up and here's a 10% off voucher for your first purchase.
Komal, just to double check here, we're meaning welcome campaign as in email sign up to first purchase.
Yes.
Cool.
So they sign up to your newsletter. Sorry, I'm using email talk and
Well, it seems it's one of the things the email industry is split on. Half of them say wrongly, in my opinion, it's from first purchase onwards, and the other half of us get it right, and we consider it to be email sign up. And what follows on after that. So I just in case anyone's going, where are we putting this? We're talking what you send after the email sign up. So what should we be doing with our welcome campaign?
Yeah, so this is someone signs up to your newsletter, they haven't purchased yet, and you're nudging them to make a first purchase. So we all see lots of one emails, which is great, but where's the follow on from that? So this really needs to be a series, and the most successful welcome emails are actually the welcome campaign, which are over 2 or 3 different emails, and then nudging people to make that first purchase. So you know, if you map your life cycle, you're saying, right, someone lands on my website, they're in awareness mode. How do I get them into my database, and how am I able to engage with them and convince them to make that first purchase? So the newsletter's there to do that, and you're nudging them towards that first purchase, but also then continue on. So then you've got, how do I turn my first purchases into regular purchases? So then you've got, the campaign, the nurture campaign that goes on from there. And, we saw probably a few years ago, they don't do it anymore, but Waitrose had a beautiful nurture campaign where they had, I think it was 3 or 4 vouchers. There's £100 off your first 3 or 4 orders. And because they knew that if someone purchases from Waitrose more than 2 or 3 times, they're going to turn into a loyal customer. So they had this data behind them that drove this decisioning, and it worked really well. I don't see many of those. One of the biggest problems for e-commerce brands is, right, okay, they purchased from me once. How do I convince them to purchase again? And you've either got a ton of people that are sat on your database that haven't purchased from you before, or they purchased from you once. And those are the 2 real key areas for you to focus on. How do I turn those first-time purchasers into loyal customers? And nudge campaigns are a great way of being able to do that. And if you personalize those nudge campaigns even further with great content that's targeted to whatever's right for your business. I can't sit here and say that, there is any one way to do it. You've got to know your audience, you've got to know your business, and you target accordingly.
And if you start small and start simple, it's not that hard to do, and the customers will tell you what to do next because you're able to see what's driving sales and where they're clicking.
Yeah.
So it really is one of those areas where starting simple is the solution, and use the tech to help you as well, because you've kind of mentioned already, Komal, but product recommendations, dynamic content, this stuff is super easy to put in place now and to automatically put good content in front of people, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I've looked at, speaking to a brand at the moment. It's a small pet brand, and they're not doing any personalization, not sending any abandoned cart or doing anything, any life cycle marketing at all. And they've been using an email tool for a while. Didn't quite realize that actually their email tool allows them to do all of this work, and easily, out of the box, easy to do. And I think this is so much more accessible to e-commerce marketers now. So
yeah, so much more accessible. Okay, I think we've done good on hyper personalization. So let's try an area which is even easier to put in place, I think, which is user generated content, which all of you out there who are listening, if you do not have the words capture user generated content and use across my marketing channels at the top of your marketing strategy this year, you need to add it. So, Komal, how should we be using this in our email marketing in particular?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about 4 main areas that you can use user-generated content to drive sales, I guess. So first is product promotion. Who's better to promote your products than your customers, right? They can provide objective opinions, product shots, opening, TikToks, or opening boxes and things like that. And in a world of Instagram and iPhones and all the technology that's available to consumers, they're great storytellers. They're probably better storytellers than we are as the marketers. They love your brand. So product promotion is a great way to use user-generated content. Then, we're looking at reviews and testimonials. So why? I think the number's got to be more, but at least 25% of product searches are people looking for reviews and recommendations it's in the buying cycle. People make a short list of products that they might want to purchase, and then they go out and do the next piece of research, which is generally around reviews and recommendations. They want to be sure they are making the right decision. So having reviews and recommendations, asking your audience, using email to drive, that data is really essential. Whether it's on your website or using platforms, it's such an important part of your strategy. And happy customers entice other people as well. People buy into lifestyles. They buy into this notion of a lifestyle. So when you feature happy customers, this is very enticing. And it's much more relatable than using models. People don't really relate to that anymore. They want to see real people. They want to see authenticity. And this builds trust and credibility. And then if we're looking at some kind of behavioral science, and maybe not every brand wants to use this, but there's also a trigger of FOMO going on when you're using, when you're seeing happy customers, people want to be like that. They want to have that same kind of lifestyle. So that's really important. And then user-generated content can be used around building communities. Communities build loyalty. And especially over COVID, where people started to feel really disconnected. They're feeling disconnected from the world. They're feeling disconnected, maybe even from their friends and family. And consumers were really craving some kind of community, a place where they felt like they were with people that were like them. And I saw this actually I'm going to talk about a particular brand. So Sunday Riley is a beauty brand. They have an online community. It's almost like a VIP online community where if you share stuff about their brand, they give you points, but it's all done through Instagram, all through socials, Facebook, Instagram, and so on. And they're sharing stories, you're collecting points. And it's just a place where people can come and gather and talk about something that's important to them. And if you have a brand that's able to do that, then take part in that conversation, whether that's off in someone else's space or, an industry space, or create that own space for yourself. But use all your channels to bring it all together. Use email to, as part of that strategy to bring it all together. I love user-generated content. I think, we see consumers. I mean, if you look at TikTok, there's so many great storytellers out there, and they are probably not marketers.
For me, it's a no-brainer. It's probably the most powerful content you can create, and you don't have to create it yourself. It's like, why wouldn't you be putting that in all your marketing? Well, look, Komal, that's been absolutely awesome, the rundown we've done. Guys, we've only talked about 2 of the areas in the report. So I strongly advise you to go and download it, because you will get all the rest of it as well. And it's packed with examples, and you can kind of treat it as a little bit of a tick list for your email strategy for this year. We're now going to pause for a reminder of our sponsors, and then we'll be talking about the wider world of email marketing. This podcast is brought to you by Clavio, the email and SMS platform built just for e-commerce brands. If you're marketing an e-commerce brand, you already know that data changes everything. More data means more power. And if your email or SMS tools can't handle all that data, they're probably holding you back. That's where Clavio comes in. Its top-notch personalization and segmentation help you send the right message at the right time, guided by unlimited real-time data from your online store and tech stack. Request a demo at clavio.com/masterplan. That's KLAVIYO.com/masterplan. Okay, Komal, so far we've gone deep into email marketing content trends. Now you get to wow us with your insider knowledge about the whole world of email marketing. So for the following questions, your answer can be anything to do with email marketing, which of course includes everything we've already been talking about. So are you ready for these?
I am ready.
Here we go then. Let's start with newbie advice. If we've inspired someone to take their first step, what do they need to know to give themselves the best chance of success?
Well, I was thinking about this question because, Chloe, you told me what this question might be in advance. I do think that this goes beyond email. So we're talking about success for you as individuals, as marketers. And I would say, get to know yourself. Who is the work you? Who's the professional you? Who are you? What's your values? What do you stand for? That's so important because that really helps drive your long-term success. But also then know your customer. Really, really important. Put your shoes put yourself into the shoes of your customer, and then know your industry. Know your industry. Network. Make work acquaintances. Volunteer in associations, and also get a mentor. If one piece of advice for a newbie is find someone in your industry that's willing to mentor you, and that doesn't have to be someone who is in your workplace. It could be anywhere, and that really is the secret to success. We can apply our marketing knowledge and our skill set and expertise, and you'll learn that as you sort of go through your career and you learn and experiences. But it's so important to know who you are and what you stand for and what your passions are. So maybe a bit more holistic than you were thinking, Chloe.
No, I love that. Holistic is good because we so often go straight into the tech, but or into individual tactics, but actually going back to the strategic level and even above that, going back to the self-development level is so important to do all this stuff well. Well, look, once you've started, of course, you've got to keep optimizing. So what's your favorite way to improve performance?
Right. So as well as experience, so get involved in as much as you can, learn from other places within your business. Don't just stay in your marketing role. Go and speak to, the customer success teams. Talk, maybe even, shadow all the way through the business and really, truly understand all the different nuances of the business. That's one area. And mine, Chloe, you'll know, read, and read again. I mean, you can't stop learning ever. We're never stopping learning. So follow topics on social media, listen to what other people are saying in your network, look at the case studies, look at the awards, that are being won. Why are they winning? But also widen your breadth of knowledge. A huge lot of ideas come from outside your current network. And that's where you learn the most, I think, and form an opinion. I think it underpins who you are. Even if people don't always agree with you, it doesn't matter. Form an opinion, because that's what success looks like as you stride forward. But you learn. You learn from data, you learn from your experiences, but forming that opinion is really important. And then I would say, write. Try a hand at writing, because finding a way to be able to write and tell stories, I think, is an essential skill that not many people have, and is actually crucial to success. So even if you don't feel confident in it, it's a great thing to just start doing, because the more you do of it, the better you'll be at it. I do believe that's really important.
I agree so much. I think we're going to see a renaissance in copywriting abilities this year. So yeah, get writing, everybody. Now, if someone listening wants to learn more, is there one cheap or free resource you would recommend?
Oh, do come to Pure360.com. There's lots of great resources. It's free, and I definitely recommend just also going to different vendors. Probably not really supposed to say that, but there's lots of great free content across all the different texts that you're using. So consume as much as you possibly can. I would say also that as marketers, we're really time poor. When someone's launching a webinar and it's a 60-minute webinar, do we have time to sit down and listen to them? So be kind to yourself. Don't, I've said I've been quite intense, read, write, all these lovely things, but also just be kind to yourself. And I would just end with that. There's lots of places you could go. LinkedIn is a great place, even if you're a B2C marketer, going onto LinkedIn, because there's a great plethora of free content on there. And, there's the usual sites as well, e-consultancy and so on. I don't really need to name them, but there's content all around you, but really understand what it is that you're trying to improve. And that then, that goes straight back to the why. Why do you exist and what are you trying to do?
I love that you say be kind to yourself, because I think one of the issues we have in our industry, and I'm part of this issue, is that those who are on the supplier side, who are the vendors, who are the SaaS companies, etc., need to create content. And a lot of that content is absolutely awesome and highly worth reading. But as the retailer, as the brand owner, as the marketer, you've got to always be filtering, which of this content is relevant to me now, and think of it in your own agenda, not in the agenda of the person who's sending it to you.
Definitely.
Which is so important in terms of being kind to yourself. Have a spreadsheet of stuff to read next time we're working on email or next time we're working on Google Ads. And in fact, the reason why I've organized this podcast in month-long segments is to try and help you avoid that overwhelm, to try and make it a bit easier, because we're not coming at you with Google Ads one week and email the next and Facebook Ads the following week. We're giving you a bit of focus time. But anyway, before I get off on that rant,
I'm loving it, Chloe.
Well, it is. It's one of those kind of juxtapositions in the industry. But I said I wouldn't rant on it. Anyone who wants to talk to me about that or continue the debate, get in contact. But I'm not going to do it right now. Finally, it is crystal ball time. What's coming up in the next 6 to 12 months that we should be getting ready for?
This is also a very interesting question. So, I think we've got to think about the whole total experience that the customer is getting from you as a brand. We talked about hyper personalization, hyper automation that is driven by data will also be key in 2022. We could talk about the metaverse. I could talk about AR, VR, and, there's some great, awesome things out there. But, that's fine if you're a multi-billion-dollar company. But actually, for the majority of us, it's just about being better. It's about trying to be as remarkable as we possibly can and get the basics done really well. Use behavioral science to help drive your campaign strategy as well. Understand your consumer. So, there are some, as we know, we've been here for so many years, things don't change that drastically. They're the same basic things that we need to be achieving, but also think about your customer as a whole and all those different channels they're consuming you. Make sure you think about the full end-to-end experience.
Excellent answer. Komal, we are very nearly at the end of the show. So could you please let the listeners know where they can find you and your business?
Yes, absolutely. So I'm from Pure360, pure360.com. You can come and find us there. We're on Twitter at Pure360. You can also come and chat to me. I am on LinkedIn. It's Komal Helyer. And you can also find me and continue the conversation on Twitter at Komal_Helyer. You're never going to be able to spell that, though. Maybe in the links, Chloe.
Yeah, we will. You'll be able to see that right now on the podcast, guys. So you can find all those spellings. Komal, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. It's been fascinating chatting with you and trying to stay away from our rant topics. So thank you so much for coming on and sharing your expertise with us all.
Thank you, Chloe. Thanks for having me.
Loving Komal's take there on, looking after yourself, being kind to yourself, understanding yourself in order to make your marketing better. And loads of great email tips in there as well. As I mentioned, we were picking things out of Pure360's recent email marketing content trends report, which covers 5 key areas: UGC, content atomization, interactive content, hyper-personalization, and AI optimization. We got deep into UGC and hyper-personalisation, and kind of flitted around a couple of the others as well. The report itself goes through all of those with breakdowns of tactics and ways in which you can use them, with loads of examples in it as well. So I really do recommend looking at it. It's a great report. We'll put the link to that in the show notes for you. You can get those together with everything else we discussed, the full transcript of this episode and more at keepoptimising.com. There you can also sign up to our monthly Q&A webinar, because as part of my mission to help you improve your marketing this month, I've invited all our specialists back to join us for a live Q&A session. It's going to be your chance to get your questions answered. So head to keepoptimising.com to find out where and when that's happening, or catch the replay and get yourself signed up. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the Keep Optimising podcast. If you've enjoyed it, then do check out episode 93, the first one in this set of email pieces, where we got into quizzes as a way to grow your email list. And we also touched quite a bit on personalisation and how to build out the follow-on sequences from those quizzes. So the welcome campaigns that Komal was talking about too. So that's really going to build on what we've been talking about today. Please also let your fellow marketers know about the show, because email is such a huge opportunity, and because the whole reason I create this is to help as many marketers as possible to improve the performance of their e-commerce marketing. So please do spread the word. Have a great week, and make sure you listen to the next episode so I can help you to keep optimizing your marketing.
Access everything Keep Optimizing at keepoptimising.com. That's with an S, not a Z.